So we are back on the bottleneck PC, and if you do not know what a bottleneck is, it is either if your CPU is really good or your GPU is really bad or you have bad RAM. So let's get into the simple shit that you're here for. And you're probably wondering why I'm even talking about a bottleneck, because as you can see here, I play on full screen exclusive. Some people play on full screen borderless. Display resolution, I use 1920x1080, and that leads to my case. As you can see on 1680x1050, I was pulling less FPS than 1920x1080. And you're probably asking, what the fuck does that have to do with it, and why are you pulling more FPS on a higher resolution? That's because, first of all, I'm playing on my native resolution, and second of all, it's pulling more from my GPU as of what I seen from the benchmark. But that's really that, and it'll go more into later into the video. So for custom frame rate, I use 60, and I have this on because I was having some FPS drops and hitches, and this helped me keep a maintained frame rate, which was kind of better. As you can see, I'm hitting 60 always, even while recording. Most people use unlimited. It's up to you. My screen refresh rate is 60, so I have it at 60. I don't really see why you need to go over. For upscaling and sharpening, I use AMD FSR. And the quality preset I use is ultra quality. Some people use balanced quality. I would personally recommend quality if you're using a pretty high display rate. I mean, if you're using a high display resolution like 1920x1080, quality looks perfectly fine and it looks really good. Ultra quality just looks gorgeous, and it looks actually HD, and it looks like you're playing basically on native resolution. Some people use NVIDIA image scaling. That actually looks really good too. And I would also suggest AMD FSR 2.1, as you get a little bit more FPS, but you also do get an FPS boost while you still have beautiful quality. AMD FSR 2.1 is just more HD and it's a little more clear. So anti-aliasing, I use Filmic SMA T2X. I use SMA T2X before. I kind of don't like it. It's smudgy, but if you want more FPS, I would just use that. You can probably put the quality higher, but for this one, I just use ultra quality. You can honestly use it on low. I'm just bougie as shit. My video memory scale, I have 190. This also goes back to the bottleneck situation where my GPU is pulling less than my CPU because my CPU is really bad, and this is pushing my GPU up a little bit so it can push more and take the strain off of my CPU. So if you do, I would suggest 90 or 80. If you're experiencing hitches, I would suggest you turn down to 80. If you have a really good CPU, you probably need to turn this on. You probably need to turn this on to 50 or 60. I used to use 50 or 60, and then I just got more FPS with 90. It's really not a big difference, but it just puts more onto your GPU. Texture resolution, low and very low do not have a big difference. Don't let that VRAM usage fool the shit out of you. It's probably a 2 FPS difference, and low looks perfectly good, and very low just, there's not a big difference. So I honestly, if you want to get those couple FPS, just use very low. But texture filter, and I'm not even gonna try and say that shit. I use low. I usually use low. I changed to normal. It literally does not give that big of a difference. It's more of a personal preference. All of these are personal preference. I use nearby level of detail on high. Distance level I keep on low because honestly I don't know why I need it. I feel like that's just more clutter. Speaking of clutter draw distance I have on short. Most people will use short. All of this I have off. Bullet impact, some people use them, but I honestly just feel like that's more clutter that I don't need and that I'm never gonna look at. Just like your shader quality, it adds a little bit more brightness onto some shit, which I feel like you really don't need. I tested all of these and there's like no difference. This game does not look that different from low settings than high. So most of these you really don't even need on high. Shadow map resolution, this is actually something I would suggest, or I would prefer you to turn on higher if you have a pretty good PC and you know you don't really need those extra FPS. It's honestly not a big, it does not take off really any FPS unless you're using like ultra or extra. But if you're using normal or high and you want those pretty good shadows, you want your game to look a little better, I would just use that. Screen space shadows I have on off. Spot shadow quality I have on low. Spot cache ultra. As of what I've heard from pros and people who play Warzone, they said this helps you in gunfights and it makes them a little bit less laggy and FPS droppy. So as of what I've seen, I haven't dropped FPS in gunfights and I've had an ultra, so I just keep it on ultra. And it puts more on my GPU, so it helps a little bit. For particle lighting, I keep on low. There's really no reason why you need it on high. If you want to put more on your GPU, I guess go ahead. I never tried it. I should probably. Ambient occlusion, I keep it on off. I know some people put it on both. I guess it gives you better visual quality. I don't really see a difference, but I guess it's personal preference. Screen space reflections. That was it's hard to say. I keep this one off, low, off. I keep all this off. I really don't need it. World motion blur, I guess this looks good if you're like doing montages or shit, but you literally can just add it with one. Film grain, I don't even know why people keep this up. On default, this is up, so I would suggest you turn this down. I use 110 FOV, affected, wide. Most of this is not needed. Please turn this down because you're gonna get a fucking seizure. If you have this on default, I don't know why it's on 100, but the shakes really fuck you up. Even when you're getting shot at F, I'm sure it shakes your screen. But most people have this on helmet camera. I just keep it on game perspective for competitive. All this we went over, and I'll actually go into controller settings for y'all. So button layout, I use custom. I use bumper jumper tactical. I started using this like Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3. Most pro players use this for bunny hopping, double jumping, and all that. Bumper jumper tactical is really good. That's a fucking big ass word. Horizontal, I use 5.4, 0.85. Most pro players use 6.6. Sensitivity multipliers, I don't touch that. Controller vibration, please turn this off. I didn't even know that was on. Aim down slice, I use hold. I never seen somebody use tactical. This is usually on that. Melee, I guess some people use it. I'm changing them. It's a preference. Automatic tactical sprint, you can use automatic sprint, whichever is your preference. For competitive, most people use tactical sprint. Equipment behavior, hold, that's for Warzone. That's personal preference. All this is really personal preference. Tap to reload, I use, but it'll prioritize your interact, so you only have to, if I'm sure, click to do it. Well, this would be click to interact. So yes, I change back. Okay, so next we're going on to audio settings. There's really only one thing you need to change here. I would suggest you turn reduce tintiness sounds off, and I will actually go into another sound setting right now. Hold on. So if we go down here, click this and go to sounds and go to playback, click your monitor that you're using. Yes, I'm using basically a fucking TV, mind your business, and turn loudness equalization on. This is what most pro players use in pro tourneys. It's basically, they're planning on banning it from fucking pro tourneys because you can basically hear people from across the map. They're not, I would honestly say footsteps aren't loud, but you can hear them if somebody's behind you. Like if I was standing in the middle, I can definitely hear that multiple people are coming towards me or somebody's coming towards me, but I probably, unless I have a headset on, wouldn't know exactly where they're coming from. But also for my color settings, we got to get into that because I know y'all are kind of interested. I doubt y'all noticed, but fuck it. If you're using an AMD graphics card, if I'm sure there's this on the video, but if you do not know really what you have, or you don't really feel comfortable using either of those, or you honestly just don't know how to, I will show you another way. So most of the time you're going to be on home, but if you click Alt R, it will bring you right there in the game. Click adjust game settings or go to gaming, either one. I'll just click this one and I will show you what at least I use. If I go to here and you turn custom color and color temperature control on, color temperature I have at 6500. If I'm sure that's the default, all I did was turn the saturation up and turn vivid gaming and color efficiency disabled. But I also will show y'all another way of getting it. So if you go here real quick, I actually do have it, but I will show y'all actually how to get it real quick. So just download this for desktop, PC, or whatever you're honestly on, and once you get it, just search up Vibrance UI. I honestly don't even use mine no more because I have the AMD thing, and the AMD honestly I feel like it's better because this uses background. Even though they both do, but this one uses one. Just click Add, Modern Warfare should come up right there, and then once you do, double click, and then change the in-game vibrance level. I have mine to see-through. 300 is actually extremely fucking bright, and on some maps it's honestly too bright. It's like too colorful and it's kind of hard to see. Windows vibrance level, I have mine to 156, so you can do that a little bit. And if you do have multiple monitors, you only went to effect 1, change this one, and never change resolution, you can turn it 2. So that's for that. And I actually do want to show y'all one more setting, the secret setting that I actually put. and it actually does help a lot. As you can see, there's a dot in the center of my screen. If I'm sure it's not cheating. It's in the game, so we're going off of it. So if you go down here to interface and you go all the way down, I actually have my crosshairs off. I don't know why. You go to center dot. Click this and turn your center dot to larger or largest. This helps with centering so much, and it helps me with hip firing and centering, because now if I'm going around a corner, all I have to do is just place it on, and it literally just helps me just go like this. So I can literally just center. So I can just keep the dot. Now I know where the middle of my screen is, so I don't not like this. But even with a crosshair, you can do it, but I feel like this is a little better in my personal preference, because an actual crosshair moves a lot, and this one doesn't. It's just a dot. It's like having a Valorant crosshair, basically. So hopefully this video wasn't too long. I tried to get through everything, and hopefully I helped you in some way. If you do want to contact me in any way, I usually am on Discord or Instagram, anything, you know what I mean, I'll respond. And if you do want to see any more Modern Warfare content or any gaming videos in general, check me out. YouTube Ajiah. Obviously, you clicked the video, so hopefully you did enjoy. Thank you so much for even coming through. I appreciate you, and have a great day. Thank you.
Let's keep it a buck. I'm just finna go like man, she real man, left her on red. It's flexing on that hoe, look at all my diamond spread. Nigga think he shicey, man, take that off your head. Man, I popped the